Well, hello everyone, and welcome back to another TAF Solutions Crazy Action Podcast. I am Joe Wallace,
And I'm Sean Otmishi. Welcome, welcome, welcome.
and today's podcast, we're going to be talking a bit about some of everybody's favorite material, automation. At least that's the buzzword I think everybody's using nowadays. Isn't that right, Sean?
It is, automation is great, but it can also be scary. So hopefully we can remove this scariness. I know we're getting close to October, but we're going to try to remove the scariness out of it and make it work make sense for people.
Exactly. Well, what better way to get started, though, when telling people something totally awesome and unique, and that is, what if you could save 5 hours a week just by letting your tech do the work? I
Well,
mean,
if
I'm
that's
okay with that.
I'm okay with that as well. And matter of fact, we've been doing that, so that's what makes it great. So I'm kind of happy to talk about it and really maybe talk a little more about our experiences and what you can do to hopefully, if anything else, inspire you to want to do some automation.
100%. And I think one of the biggest things that people are probably asking is like, well, how do you do that, Sean and Joe? I'd love to make all kinds of time savings. And the good news is that not only are we going to talk about that here today, just a little bit, we'll give you just a little bit of information that will really help a lot. But on top of that, I do want to shout out that later on next week, we will be having a workshop that goes in even more detail, bit by step, on how to actually do the very things that we're talking about right now. And so we won't be going into as much detail because it's a podcast and we're trying to be a little more conversational here. But the next thing that we need to talk about, obviously, is what the problem is and the opportunity, because I think that's where we reach the thing. Now, my initial thought, Sean, on that is missed leads. I think that's the biggest problem a lot of people have when it comes to this sort of thing, and
Yep.
what can solve it.
So when you talk about the problem, I love to start off with talking about we do Tab Solutions. We're focused on business to business. I know some of you might be business to consumer, but let's just talk about whenever you go out and you're meeting people. What do you get? You get a business card, and this is an actual for an appetizer that expired because of the last networking event. Anyways, but the point is, this is a business card. And what do we do when we get business cards? Well, we take our business cards, we put them in our wallet, or we bring them home, we put them in a shoebox, as some people have heard, or they put in that binder. Well, I used to carry, you know, cards in or Pogs. If you remember Pogs, Joe, back in the day,
Yeah.
right? And you set it and you forget it and you don't contact, you don't do anything with that. That it's completely useless. So what I love to do is say, hey, look, you get a business card, quickly utilize your CRM tool and go ahead and implement that, or in this case, put the contact directly into your CRM. You're saying, oh, great. Now it's going to go from sitting in a shoebox, Joe. Now it's going to sit in your CRM. It's not going to do anything, right? Well,
Right.
what is the whole goal? Well, the goal is you want to be able to build out that relationship with that person, get to know them. So, of course, we talk about the one-on-one experience, right, Joe?
Right.
Okay. So you're probably thinking, okay, so then what do I do, Joe? What do I do? What do I do? The answer is by using a CRM with some automation, or in this case, we use HubSpot, and it's actually called, depending on which plan you have, where we're focused on a sequence. So in HubSpot, a sequence is a sales automation tool that really lets you send a series of personalized timed emails and task reminders to your prospect. In this case, to the person that you want to contact. What you do is you set it up where you put them directly into your CRM and you enroll them into the sequence. What is the sequence? Well, the sequence could be a combination of multiple emails, which the first email will say, as soon as you enroll them, it's going to send the person an email that says, hey, it was great meeting you at the event yesterday. How about we schedule a one-on-one? Click on the link below and let's schedule through Calendly. What happens? They read it, they open it, they say they're going to get to it, they never do.
Right.
Days goes by, nothing happens. Well, the sequence understands that because if there was no interactivity, you can schedule it for after 3 to 7 business days. It's going to send another email. Hey, I sent you an email. We still need to connect. Do you want to connect? Let's do this. Click the link below. And so that's what the sequence does. Now, you may say, well, what happens if after the first email they open it, they respond? Well, the sequence terminates because the individual actually communicated back with you. Okay, so if they book a schedule, a meeting, finishes the sequence. If they send the email out, it finishes the sequence. But then at the end, it closes and they're no longer enrolled in the sequence once something has been solved. And Joe, you and I do that all the time. I mean, we go to events, you meet 10, 15 people, and it's like, dude, I need to meet with this person because something really good's going to happen. And we
Mhm.
schedule the enrollment, we go through the process, and we go at it. So
Well,
that's
and that's the
the
thing.
yeah.
Yeah, and we have plenty of opportunities to solve really the biggest pain points right there. And that was a lot to get through, by the way. I know that
Sorry.
people, no, no, you're on the right track. Though. I mean, definitely, what I think what that really just exemplifies and shows just how passionate we are about this exact subject. And what's great is I mean, that was just the tip of the iceberg. So really, guys, again, if you're just joining us or you're not really familiar with what we just talked about, we're trying to make sure that you are able to automate as much as you possibly can to save you tons of time, or at least be more efficient in what you're trying to do. And that's all it is. And really, to really hit that on the nail, I mean, we're talking about basically practical ways to tie in what Sean just talked about was like a CRM into your workflow, and not just have it just like, you buy a CRM and you throw crap in it and you just, it's done, right? No, no. Doing something with the data that's in there, like your business cards and all the other things. So that way you can actually move forward with other plans of actions, like he talked about when it came to sequences. And some of the biggest pain points it really solves that we know of is really just repetitive administration work, any kind of missed leads you have, dropped follow-ups like Sean just talked about. I mean, that's another big thing as well. Like
Let
so
me
many
give you
times.
another one. I have another one that people are going to absolutely love, Joe.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
my favorite one. It's whenever the customer doesn't pay the invoice. We
Oh
love
yeah.
those, right?
Oh yeah.
Not paying invoices, or maybe it's not that your customers are not paying the invoice, they forgot, or they need a friendly nudge. So the way we operate is whenever we send out an invoice, before we do any service, we'll send out an invoice. Customer pays the invoice, and from there we get started. From there, the automation tool kicks in, sends them a welcome email, and then from there they pay, and then we know they paid. Then we move towards rendering service. But sometimes people need a nudge. So what we love to do is enroll people in a secondary sequence. It says, okay, so send out the invoice. I'm going to enroll these new customers in, and they get a welcome email directly from us, which says, hey, welcome to the TAF family. Before we get started, go ahead and take care of that pending invoice. And once you've done that, we'll trigger and we'll send out another welcome email with your client portfolio. And believe it or not, that is very helpful because the client understands the expectation is like, hey, if you want to get started on the process, you got to pay the invoice. If you want to go see the movie, you got to get a ticket to the show. How do you get a ticket to the show? You got to pay. So you want to play, you got to pay. So that's another sequence, Joe, that's been very helpful for us.
Well, another one we've always loved too is also even just missed meetings.
Yep.
You know,
Oops.
uh, people ask for meetings. They love to talk to us, and then I guess on the day of, even though they've received plenty of opportunities to be reminded, lots of reminders going out through either message or of course, email, and yet they still end up goofing and not showing up, and they go on another sequence. It's like, hey, reschedule with us, see how it goes, so that we don't have to continuously follow up. All we have to do is get them started, push them in line to basically then receive all of those things. I love that.
Joe, I have another one for you, but this is counterintuitive. So this is where automation can go wrong. And actually, you and I experienced this. So you and I went to a conference. We enroll people. They schedule the meeting, and it's through Calendly. So email goes out through HubSpot. Calendly connects. Customers connect through Calendly. It schedules a team meeting and so forth, and it sends them the reminder. Well, you and I had to go to another event, so we had to send out a cancellation and for it to reschedule. You did it through Outlook, but Calendly sent the customer an email or prospect an email saying, hey, sorry, missed you. The customer emailed back saying, hey, we didn't have the meeting. Matter of fact, you missed the meeting, not me. And so the bottom line is make sure you understand how your automation tools work
Yes.
so you don't look stupid.
Oh, exactly. Well, and like, I learned very quickly that, oh, you should cancel it in the right tool instead of just on your what's easily accessible on your phone. And that just in a nutshell is kind of just what we're also talking about, guys, is really just being aware of how these things work, why they work the way they do, because at the end of the day, the tool is only as good as the knowledge that you have on it. And by the way, that doesn't mean that you do have to know it and then the complete ins and outs of the tools that you have if you have somebody who's helping with you. But somebody in your organization or that you're working with needs to be a little bit of an expert on that subject. So that being said, let's not forget some, like we talked a bit about like the overview of what this is all about, but let's talk a little bit about more about the actual nuts and bolts just briefly, especially what we've talked about, which is HubSpot. Okay, how does HubSpot general, Sean, how does that kind of help us just with clients? And I know you've talked briefly already about it, but you can even go back and reiterate on some of that to refine it more if you want.
Yeah, absolutely. So let's start with talking about what a CRM is, this customer relationship management tool. And essentially, that's going to be the hub. That is going to be the artery, as I call it, for all of our process automations, but also our contacts and business intelligence. So that means that your contacts, your leads, your sales, your marketing, it's an all-in-one tool. And of course, you got to pay money for a lot of the different services. We use the sales professional license, and we also have the commerce and also service for help desk. So that's what we use that for, to the knowledge base and so forth. But essentially, what you can do with the free version of HubSpot is you start with as many contacts as you want. That means their first name, last name, email address, all the great information about them. You put them directly in there, and of course, it also has the ability for business intelligence from both contacts and companies. So when you type in the email address, it's going to take the domain. So let's see, wearetaft.com. And the CRM is going to use artificial intelligence to go after that domain and pull all the information from the internet on exactly what that company does. So it gives you a blueprint of who they are, what they sell to, what their products and services are. You have your contacts. So you get a big picture, a bird's eye view of your contact. Then you have other tools to be able to help you work closely with these contacts and companies to do a variety of different things. Marketing campaigns. Hey, we got a new product service out. A webinar letting people know about you guys' service or something that's going on. Just keeping in touch, enrolling them directly into a sequence that we talked about, which one could be for scheduling a one-on-one consultation. It could be a reminder for an appointment. The list goes on and on and on. So the CRM, depending on who you go with, has a variety of different tools that can be very comprehensive. That's really going to move you in the right direction for 2025. And for those of you that are not using CRM, I'm assuming you're using your phone. You're using your phone as your Rolodex. Please stop doing that. If you're writing everything down, please stop doing that.
Oh yeah, post-it notes are not exactly what I would call a great opportunity, or even Excel spreadsheets if you're trying to be a little more modern, which is modern for 1995. Sure, but
Right.
we're talking 2025 here, and honestly, you should be looking at a little more like this when it comes to your what you're trying to do, having your CRM with your contacts. And I am currently using, by the way, the official HubSpot demo account. So there is no private data being leaked on the interwebs right now. But just know that you want to be able to easily see at a glance and be able to even search for the people, because this list gets very long, as you move forward.
Well, matter of fact, why don't you go to sales and then choose sequences real quick, because what I want to show you is when you're in sequences and you enroll. Oh, it doesn't have one in there. But essentially, what it does is it shows you the total amount of people that have enrolled. It shows you not only have they opened it, the interaction, the click rate, the bounce rate, and of course your unsubscribe rate. It lets you know the overview of how well your email engagement is. And that's extremely important too, because you want to see if people are liking your message. So if they unsubscribed, and you know that maybe your message needs to be tweaked, or maybe you got a contact that you should have not subscribed to your mailing list. It happens time to time.
And what's really important to remember is that the tool is only as useful as you're going to make it. So remember, you got a CRM, use it. I would definitely recommend checking out HubSpot first before you jump in and commit. We do have a free version of this where you can actually go in and just check it out, like start adding in contacts, see what you can do. One of the things Sean and I know we love to use all the time, we mentioned earlier, you got to get that almighty business card, right? It comes in your hand. What do you do with it? Are you gonna go home and just put it in a drawer, right? Or are you gonna like you're gonna call that person later? Maybe what you do is you're doing right now is you're just taking the information, you're putting it into your phone contacts and letting that be your CRM. And like Sean said earlier, that's a terrible idea. Or what you could do is just get the HubSpot app if you're using HubSpot. And other CRMs have this capability too, where you can just scan the card. It'll automatically input the information into your contact list and then add it. You can just do that instead. And now you don't even need that business card. Heck, you can do it right there in the middle of the event, meeting, whatever it is you got going on. All of a sudden, you don't have to worry about taking home a stack of business cards. Take 5 minutes before you get back in the car and leave. Scan all your cards in. Then, even more crazy, right? Let's say you scan those cards in. Well, we just got done talking about throwing things on or using a sequence, which is an email chain list, text message, whatever you want. You can enroll somebody into one of these immediately. And what we love to do is we love to talk to people. So what we end up doing is we take people, we enroll them in a one-on-one, and then request a meeting. Try to see if people want to come talk to us a little further. And most of the time, works out pretty well.
Well, I'm going to use the Houston Media Conference as an example. We met so many people. We worked about 33 hours. So it was about 11 hours, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. When you're done with the conference, what I did was as soon as I met the person, once they left the booth, I quickly added them directly into the CRM and I enrolled them. And so here's the thing. I would say with the enrollments, you'd be surprised. Most people are tired. They forget.
All right.
You enroll them. You did your part, right? But the great part is when you have those reminders, it doesn't stop until an action has actually happened. So either they've replied to it, they've enrolled in an actual booking, and that's great. And if they don't, it'll go on until the sequence is finished. So I have my sequence right now with its 2 emails, and after that, I kind of like leave it alone. But what I'm starting to see, Joe, is I'm going to have to build out the sequence where it actually has maybe another reminder after another week, just to get those people, get them reminded, like, hey, we did meet, we had a good conversation. Do you want to roll or not?
Well, a lot of people do have quite a back, I don't want to say back catalog. They have that too of emails, but they also have a ton of emails that come in during the day. And so cutting through the noise is sometimes a challenge. And so a lot of automation emails even offer the opportunity for you to be able to remind people of an email that was not open. So other tools, I think HubSpot does that, but I know another tool that we use as well does that all the time as well. It resends an email to people who specifically did not open it or interact with it at all, and that's Constant Contact. And it's just another great tool that I would recommend for anyone who's looking for mass emails and not necessarily automation, but definitely mass emails. It does very well. Now, hey, let's talk about an example of like what you might be able to do, right? Because I think what's important is people to visualize a little bit in their head what the workflow is. So let's say, for example, that you have somebody that you've met, um, or even better, we did that already. Let's do the web form. Say somebody comes in on your website, or maybe you sent them there. And you say, fill out your information. They come to the web form, whatever reason is, they fill it out. It goes into your CRM. Right? That's the goal. From your website to your CRM. Great. Now what? Well, let's say anybody who comes through that website, you have some check boxes on that thing that tells you, ask them, would you like to get marketing or whatever communication, just communication from via email from this, from TAP Solutions in this case, right? Or let's say you also add on there the ability for them to check a box that they'll receive SMS messages as well. Now depending upon that, when it goes to the CRM, guess what might actually happen? You're going to be able to see people automatically receiving email and SMSs because maybe they're now automatically sent into a sequence, right? Because they came from your website. You specified that, right? You specified that when it comes from the website, it goes to your CRM, and they automatically, because it came from a website, because they check some boxes, they get put into a sequence for SMS and email. Now, what? Are you going to be notified of that? How do you know they've been sequenced, right? They've been added to the sequence. Well, maybe now you get a notification in your chat of choice. Let's say Teams, because with TAF we use Teams, right? Say you get an automatic notification that somebody was enrolled because they filled out a form on your site. And here's what they're enrolled in. That can easily be done with the tools that we're talking about. And I think that's maybe helps a little bit with people trying to visualize what a use case scenario might actually be.
They hit around and nail. I think, Joe. Look, what I would say is if you're using HubSpot, one great reasons why we suggest using HubSpot is because it has a lot of templates. So whenever you sign up for the tool and you're working inside the tool, there are templates already built for inspiration. So work directly off of that, and you go from there. One thing that we didn't talk about is the powerful piece of the knowledge base. So you can build a knowledge base directly with inside HubSpot. So let's say there's frequently asked questions or there's specific terminology because of course we're in IT. We have a knowledge base built directly into it. And so with inside our emails, we can refer back to our knowledge base. Clients can click directly into the knowledge base, see exactly the topic and so forth. And for those of you that want to optimize it for SEO, you can do that too. You can have it where Google will crawl all of your knowledge base as well. So that's another option.
Absolutely. Would love to show that right here. This is our knowledge base. Again, only showing this because we aren't showing personal data in this one. But definitely something that is really great for folks who are interested. And it doesn't have to just be IT guys. I mean, I know that that's what we are. And a lot of these show, IT related solutions, but the goal is to point out, like, let's say for instance, and again, don't think blog because it doesn't have to be blog, though that is an option for knowledge bases. Okay, what's important is things like this, where if I go into here and say somebody's trying to figure out how to use one of the tools that we love telling people to use to help make it very quick for people to work with us, and I'll do a preview of this, that way it's easier to see. And as you can see, it goes through and it talks about what Web Visio is, which is a platform we use for, website creation and getting people to actually be able to show us what to change without actually having to know how to change it. So it's great stuff. And it goes through and it tells them exactly how they can use it. And here's instructional video, all this stuff. So imagine for your business that you're able to go in, or whatever it is that your service you're providing, product, and you're able to provide this level of content and have it sit there and ready for people to look at when they need it, instead of calling you and contacting you unless they really do need your help, right? But hopefully they'll have they'll come away with some of these knowledge things with informed questions instead of just like, I don't know what's happening here. So super useful.
Can't go wrong with knowledge base. We can't. Of course, these are all different parts of the package that HubSpot has to offer. And of course, we're a HubSpot partner. We do have some great things that we can help you guys with. So if you're interested in learning more about the CRM, if you're interested in learning more about some of the tools and capabilities with HubSpot, more than happy to talk to you about that. But hey, if you're looking to go high level, if you're looking to keep Thrive, if you're looking for other CRM tools, we can certainly help you with your process automation. That's a great thing about us.
Now, I will give some shout outs, of course, to some more particular buzzword items here that we've kind of touched on at the very beginning, but we haven't touched on yet. Now, CRM is fantastic. The automations are great, and we're going to dive a little more into that when we couple with our next thing, which is AI assistance. Now, I know everybody loves to say the word AI. It's everywhere. It's something that we all have to talk about too. But because there it is true that it has changed the game and how things work. And what I wanted to point out, some key things that really help sell AI, at least in my mind, to people. Uh, the ability for you to be able to draft personalized responses. All right. What I mean by that is any way, shape, or form that you can think of where you need to quickly get information in front of people, you can now have it be more personalized, even if it's automated. Okay. As long as you have set the tone of what your brand voice, people love to say brand voice. I'm just going to say your tone, your business's tone, your services, your tone is a little more accurate way of saying it. And then, of course, it's great. AI assistance is great at cleaning up data. Something to really consider. And also, a lot of things people are kind of using right now would be generating social media, which is a interesting thing to talk about too. And we can talk a little bit about that, I think, once we get it going. But I think what's best to kind of show is a quick look at what some of those things are, right? Because I just said those things. You're probably like, that's great, wonderful, cool. But Sean, if you don't mind, I'd love to just quickly go into our bird eye real quick and show just very quickly what an example is. I'm not going to go into the whole thing uh, because seeing is believing. Okay, so let me jump in here real
And
quick.
I
I'm
guess
going to
I guess what I can do is after you talk about bird eye, if you want, I can talk about the glue, which is Zapier, and how the glue can connect both HubSpot and bird eye together. If that's something that people are interested in as well.
awesome, definitely. So I think where people get tripped up when it comes to again AI automation, there's a lot of tools in here that that you see in the list. We're not going over all those guys. We're just going to go over this very briefly on the reviews. Okay? So let's say people are leaving you tons and tons and tons of reviews. One of the things that you'll have to remember is that if you know good SEO tactics and how to get a good digital presence and cement that, you need to make sure that you are responding to all of your reviews. It doesn't matter if it's good or bad. Okay, so definitely respond to your reviews. But who has the time, especially if you're getting hundreds of reviews, every week? By the way, if you're getting hundreds of views every week, I'm very jealous of your capability, and I would love to be friends. Okay, it's amazing. But again, if you're a large enough, business, of course you're getting hundreds of reviews a week. Now, listen, let's not forget that regardless of how many reviews you're getting, you still need to answer all of them. So, what better way than to automate that? And not 100% automate. You can though with this tool. And we won't go over that just yet, but just know that I can set this up to automatically respond for me. However, I can also say, like, I have a review right here that I haven't responded to. I can now use this tool to automatically reply for me. And, says we're ecstatic to hear about the positive cyber attack recovery experience. Great, wonderful. Now, maybe I should give a little more information and maybe make it a little more friendly. So it's going to change the tone for me. And more importantly, it's going to also, I'm going to go ahead and make it longer. Now you're wondering yourself, well, great, what's the difference between this and ChatGPT, right? And my answer to you is, well, ChatGPT is not already acclimated with your business, which for this particular artificial intelligence, Bird Eye, is because you've already given it all the information. And if you'll notice, just reading this right here, it's doing a pretty good job, but it's using a specific tone. What tone is it using? Well, if I go into my settings and I go to branding, you'll notice that I have the capability now of AI to enable my brand voice. Again, remember that tone I was talking about? Boom, it's right here. And you can actually see some previews of what it's going to do when it actually makes things for you. Now you'll notice there's some social posts here. I'll briefly touch on that. So in here, I'm able to make posts up to 2 years in advance. That's 24 months in advance of anything I want. And guess what? It even has potential suggestions already built out for me. Okay, so just keep that in mind. You can use as many of these suggestions as you want or as little. You can also make your own artificial intelligent posts by simply going in and asking it to either make holiday posts or post ideas. Let's just go ahead and say post idea to unlock the power of local SEO with us. And as you can see, it is quickly generating a post based off of that idea, which you can then bring directly into here. And I'm even going to just take this as is for right now. Normally I would go through this a little bit. I'm just going to select a random picture. And as you can see, it's right here. Now I can go in and edit this as much as I want and change out pictures, but I have a baseline. This is what it's all about. This is what it's all about. It is about saving you 5 hours a week, just letting your tech do the work, but also assist you in the work. And this is where I go boom, and everybody's like, "Oh!" Right, Sean?
Oh, yeah, they do.
Oh my God!
Yes, yes, absolutely. This is good stuff. Real good stuff.
Mm-hmm. But that example aside, I think that that's a quick idea of what some of the things that it's helping with. And when it said social generation, I wanted to show that at least that way people had a good idea of what that really entails. But what I will mention to you guys is you want to keep things real talk with this. When it comes to image generation and AI, social generation, you want to keep it as much as you can personalized for yourself. Don't just let ChatGPT, Midjourney, and all these wonderful things produce content for you, and just roll with it. You need to actually change it a bit to reflect your tone, the way you sound, because Google and Bing and Yahoo and whoever the heck else, I'm sorry, I'm doing search engines. Google, so Facebook, Twitter, yada yada, you name it, right? Any social wonderful platform, they're wise to whatever it is you're doing. They know that yeah, you're gonna generate posts and you're gonna bulk post it. You're gonna let it go for every day of the week. Why wouldn't you? You're interested in trying to make your business succeed. And if there's a path of least resistance, people are going to take it. Absolutely. The challenge is that they're aware, and you need to be aware that they know. So now just know that they're taking the idea of just taking content that AI has obviously generated. And let's just say ChatGPT. That's the most famous probably. You just throw stuff that it makes without any tone change, any of that crap, and it's going to start lowering whatever you're posting down. That's what they do, and they've admitted to this. So just keep that in mind. You get around that by using the tool that we have, for instance, because you're able to set your own brand voice and tone, and you don't have to worry about going in and editing and changing it yourself, saving you even more time. You might be able to get away with a little bit with that with ChatGPT, but you still have to set it up, and you don't get the full package. It's not dedicated, right, to that. It's a language model. So, and that's another thing that I'll throw then to you, Sean, is why use anything else? Why don't we all just use ChatGPT? Right? It does everything.
That's a whole other conversation, but we'll just say that's one large language model in a whole bunch. There's a whole bunch of them, and
right.
But
what's a large language model, Sean?
What I'm interested in talking to you about is how do we put this stuff together, Joe? And it's not through ChatGPT. You can ask ChatGPT, and it'll tell you how to do it, okay?
Sure.
But let me give it to you in a nutshell. So we've talked about a CRM, in this case HubSpot, and we've also talked about social media management utilizing a tool such as Birdeye. So Birdeye is a whole digital operations utility, which covers from Google reviews, SMS, your reputation management, social media management, your local SEO, and the list goes on and on. Also, not to mention storing contacts, messaging people, and so forth. What I want to do is give you an example of how we use it here at Tab Solutions. So I have my CRM. So I get a contact, I get that my little business card. I scan my business card utilizing my HubSpot app. Goes directly into my phone, goes directly into my CRM. It syncs up Shizlack's activity as I added, in this case, Carabo's Italian Grill. Hey, if y'all want to give us a plug and hook us up, great, sounds good. Anyways, I'm hungry too, Joe. With that being said, the contact goes directly into there. But how do I make it where whenever I insert a new contact directly into my CRM, that it automatically goes into my Birdeye platform? Because at the end of the day, I want to be able to interact with my clients. That includes their email, their text, their phone number, and so forth. Well, the answer is we need Elmer's glue. You're going to say Elmer's glue? No, we need the digital glue. And that's actually what Zapier does. Zapier is your digital glue. It is the Elmer's glue of 2025. Remember Elmer's glue, Joe? Just put it in your hand, you hold it.
Well, I mean, I didn't do that, but I definitely remember it bubbling up and being very messy. But then again, maybe that's just the way I used it.
Well, it's not supposed to be a sticky situation, but what really Zapier is doing, it's allowing the different apps to be able to communicate and talk. And so that is the digital glue that we're referring to. It's not Elmer's glue, but it's really making sure that HubSpot can communicate directly with Birdeye. Now, with that being said, what we're doing is we're setting up these things called triggers and actions, and we can go directly into this later on. But what I want you to understand is every time a new contact has been inputted directly into our CRM, a trigger is going to happen that's going to tell Birdeye to sync the name, the last name, the email, all of the fields that come directly for the contact directly into Birdeye. And then at that stage, you now can see the same contact within Birdeye. And that's what we do here at Tab Solutions. We try to use as many automation tools and digital glues that we can find to be able to make the tools work together. A lot of people are also known that, okay, well, how do you get this connected? They're using webhooks and, of course, an API. So you do have to have access to the API. In this case, what that stands for is Application Programming Interface. If this sounds foreign to you, if you're not completely familiar with this stuff, totally understand. Give us a call. We'll help you with that. You can also ask ChatGPT. ChatGPT will definitely help you. It's incredible. It really is. I'm not gonna lie. But if you just want us to help you, then we'll help you then. But essentially, if you want to make your platforms communicate, you're gonna want to use Zapier, which is your digital glue. Hopefully it kind of helps.
Absolutely. Well, I think that's digital glue is actually a great way of saying it. And again, remember, guys, it's almost like you're not necessarily, you're almost like you're welding things together, right?
Where you're gluing, Joe. You're gluing.
You're welding because you got to let information pass back and forth. See, glue is just too sticky. I don't know, man. I don't know.
But once you weld, it's forever. The glue you can
well, kind of.
Because that happens. Because sometimes you want to unweld. You want to.
No, they're magnets, dude. They're magnets. So you just pull them apart.
Okay.
Yeah. See,
I give up with you. Give up with you. The
digital magnets work just as well as regular magnets. And magnets, how do they work? I don't.
So I just asked ChatGPT to give me a quick analogy for Zapier. It says, think of Zapier as a universal remote control for your business applications. Instead of manually pressing buttons in each tool, you set the remote once and it runs a sequence every time the trigger happens. Well, when I was growing up, we used to have the little turn dial. You turn down, you have a little kid, you go to the front, say turn the dial to 2. That's way back in the day. It's before our time, Joe.
It is before our time. That's why I'm kind of like, but what?
It's our grandparents,
grandparents. But I will say that that, in a nutshell, is exemplifying how we are using our productive tools and having quick wins. I think that is the word of the day when it comes to, or the phrase of the day. Quick wins is absolutely what we should be talking about when it comes to automation and AI tools.
So I'm going to leave you with this. We've talked about automation. We've talked about these tools. But at the end of the day, you need a process. Sometimes writing down the process of what you're trying to accomplish on paper is where you need to start. Because it's kind of hard. You have to, sometimes you're visual. You got to be able to understand what you're trying to accomplish. So What I normally do, Joe, is I usually take pen and paper and I'll write down what is it that I'm trying to do with this information. So I got my business card. I want the business card to go directly into my CRM, and then I want the CRM to be able to interact with whatever tools I have. Or I'll give you another example. Whenever someone goes to our website, I want them to fill out the form. Okay. The question you have to ask is, once they fill out the form, what are you trying to do with the information? Are you trying to send them advertising? Do you want to do a follow-up with them? Do you want to send them some sort of a product or service, a coupon? Is there an experience? What is that next process?
Right.
So let's say that you fill out the form. From there, it goes directly into a mailing list. Then from the mailing list, you send them out a newsletter, for example. Okay. On HubSpot, I can see the percentage of how many people actually opened it, the interactivity between the client. Go one step further. So maybe you want to do a follow-up with only the people that actually open the newsletter. You can do that too. You can drill directly into it. You send a follow-up email and say, hey, maybe we should take this to an actual one-on-one call. You see how granular you can become with this? That's what we're trying to accomplish. But you got to start somewhere and start slowly build to it. So Rome wasn't built in a day, and neither was
being able to make things granular without actually spending the time on granular things. I think that's hyper focusing on things is always a challenge. And guys, by the way, if you're interested at all in some of the things that we've been talking about, specifically when it comes to like a knowledge base, we have a great example we'll share with you. I put it in chat. Everybody that has a platform that allows us to chat on with the live, we're splitting our streams to a lot of different places.
Yep.
And I was always told never to split the stream. Okay, I'm not going to do that. But remember, this right here, go there, check out the knowledge base. It's just an example. And if there's any questions that it answers and it did its job, such as API or something like that, right? Don't know if that's in there. But the point is that there's stuff in there for you to look at. And on top of that, definitely want to mention that we're going to be, again, having our workshop next week. Feel free to join in, guys. It's just a measly $40. Get to come on in and see a whole bunch of really neat things. And we're going to be really showing a lot of interesting processes that maybe you weren't aware of. Now, on top of that, next podcast that we're going to be having, our next episode, it's going to be focused a little more on cybersecurity, at least in that realm. How deep we go into is really going to be up to you guys. Now we have an idea of what we want to say, but just as usual, if you have any sort of ideas on cybersecurity that you want to talk about, again, cybersecurity, very important these days, especially for small businesses, whether they know it or not. You are more vulnerable than anybody else because you don't have, very often you don't have any protection set up. So you're like fish in a barrel. So keep that in mind. And if you have specific questions, we'd love to hear about it. Put it down in the chat below. We'll absolutely take a look at that. I think the only thing we won't be able to hear from is, of course, Odyssey, but every other platform should allow us to be able to get your message. And if not, we have a website and everything. You can just send us a quick form or a quick email and let us know what's going. If you want to know more, send us a quick email at info@wearetac.com. Now, that being said, I'll put that in chat as well. Guess what, guys? It's about that time. I think we talked about a lot. Quick and very painless wrap up. CRM from, SMS, email chains, whatever, sequences to what, to success. You need productivity. It has to happen. Best way, save yourself the time. Do what you have to do. Next week or next episode, cybersecurity focus, and follow us on Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, YouTube, Twitch,
TikTok,
everything. TikTok. Everything.
Go to TikTok. You can see Joe dance.
That's me. That's doing it. And send us your automation questions. Also, anything you want to see on the cybersecurity side. Sean, did I miss anything?
Yeah, we talked about the CRM, but we also talked about Birdeye and the great tools that Birdeye has. We are a Birdeye agency. And so if you need help with local SEO, reputation management, reviews, or maybe you just need some digital operations, we can help you with that too.
And if you need any way possible to get AI to somehow pick your nose, we're going to help you with that too. 100%. Look, there's a way. Okay, there's a way. And where there's a will.
I mean, are those AI boogers? Anyways, that's a different story.
We did talk about glue. Maybe it's not glue. And
Oh, God.
on that fantastic note, I'm Joe Wallace, and that is Sean. And we are out. And again, guys, workshop, come see us.
Elmer's